Hello, how are you? I'm just sitting here thinking about politics with the election having been mostly wrapped up. I feel like it's an appropriate time to talk about my feelings. Um, uh, when Trump ran the first time, I didn't really care either way. Um, I thought some of the clips were really funny. Um, but yeah, I remember I was very scared of Hillary Clinton. She looked, she was kind of scary. So part of me still thinks that she, like, in theory, she would be good because that's what you need in a leader. And I still see, like, why they chose Kamala Harris. She has a great background, and I think if you give her 4 years to practice, she might be able to get the nomination, the next time around. Because she did really well considering everything. So I think most Americans were very thrown by the fact that she was kind of just like decided for them. However, when you like look at what the Democrat Party has, all the other options are so bad. It's like a boys club, pretty much in either team. But Democrats are very serious about helping their community, and that's why I've always liked Democrats. I have been an independent as far as like my personal philosophy goes, but when you start getting more personal as life goes on, you're like, oh wow, am I the kind of a person to like actually help someone, or do I just like pass the buck to someone else? And conservatives most of the time are really good about helping. And I wouldn't say most of the time. I would say the majority of the Conservative Party would not like help you with anything. It's a bootstrap party, so they're not like very sensitive to basically anything. So to me, Republicans just seem absolutely nuts. America is basically the same, during President Biden's tenure as it was during Trump's. The only difference is that you did not have people running around harassing other people for their beliefs. So for me, it was really nice. A lot of people enjoy, stirring shit and recording weird videos and just like pranking everyone, and that doesn't do anything for me. My beef with the Republicans when I was a young lady was just that A, they were the party for rich people, and B, they just like did not have any empathy. Democrats don't have to pretend like they have empathy for people. It's like the problem is that I think we have too much empathy, so there's like too many issues. And while those appeal to like different demographic bases, and I do think that's smart, it can be alienating for like the average Republican who, let's face it, is like probably not someone you or me personally would want to like go have a drink or kick it with. And that's real, like most of the Republicans that I ever met when I was like out and about, they were a pain in the ass, and they're even 10 years ago, they were going on and on about immigrants or taking our jobs. And it's like, on the one hand, like that problem has gotten worse, but America and you were not like designed to just like have like an entry-level job for the entirety of your life. The whole point is for you to cast your net and find something that you like and try to pull it back towards you and see if you would cast a bigger net or try to do something else. The idea is when you are working, you find an industry that you think you could possibly be part of. And yeah, working with Republicans that like they hit it and quit it, they'll do just enough of like the group work to say that they did it, but they're definitely not like trying to do more than that. And Democrats are the opposite. Like I've always been a lot more of a Democratic person where I'll be like, oh, I'll do all the work, and hoping that at some point in the future I'll cash that check when I need it. And I think Dems are that way, and Republicans are not giving. there's never a check for them to cash because there's no favors, you know, there's like not a lot of kindness or generosity in the party that I've seen. Especially seeing everyone, like the whole campaign message being like, oh, we're gonna lift up the common man and da-da-da-da-da. Then how come every single person in the Republican Party is like a Nepo baby? Huh? But none of them are the common man, I'll tell you that. So yeah, anyway, those are my thoughts. Republicans have tried really hard, including me. I've put a lot of energy into like trying to push the Republican message. Because I've just had beef with the Democrats for, maybe I had beef with the Republicans this whole time and I didn't know. But I assumed that my friends that fucked me over were Dems. And as I've come to think about it some more, I'm like, you know what? They never brought their wallet. They're a fucking Republican. They're always giving me some excuse. Oh, crying poor. They're a Republican. Because there's a difference between crying poor and being poor. Liberals will be poor because they're like trying to help other people. And I think that's a great thing, but like it's a limiting thing. So it's just like the older people that have more money should be Democrats, but they're not. And the younger people who should be Republicans, but they're Dems because they have a heart. So yeah, all in all, I think Kamala, whatever, I think Ms. Harris was a great candidate, but she just didn't have enough time. I don't like that she locked up black guys for smoking weed. To me, that seems dumb. However, I haven't looked into any of those cases, and I have no idea what that was about. Most of the time, it's usually weed and other stuff that gets you locked up in Cali. Because, yeah, like, you would have to try really hard to get in trouble with the cops in California for weed. Because, especially now that it's legal, it's just like a non-issue. But even then, I'm fairly certain, I didn't live there then, but I'm fairly certain it was like a non-issue, a non sequitur. Like it just didn't really matter. So I think I can forgive her for that. And I know that I can't forgive Trump for the pandemic because that's all I'm thinking about now is something like, oh God, what stupid thing is going to come up and they're going to tell us you have to stand inside. That was unprecedented. Just based off of that alone, I did not vote in this election. Because I didn't want to vote for a candidate that was chosen. Even if she's a great candidate, you know, I want her to go through that process. Dems are difficult though, because they just are very power hungry. And that happens with really nice people who keep being ignored. You know, like your voice starts out small and soft like this, and then the more times you keep repeating yourself, you get more angry. So I totally relate to how the Dems feel. They're like, we're just trying to help people, like, get a leg up. It's like you're either super rich or super poor, and there doesn't really seem to be much of an in-between, and that's super intimidating. So I don't really feel good about, like, telling other people, like, yeah, pay less in taxes, fuck everyone else, just look out for yourself, because I've never, that's never been my way. I've always overpaid in taxes, especially when I was young and single. Why the hell not? As you get older, you want to save more of your money. But, like, to me, it makes more sense when you're older and you can afford to be in a higher tax bracket to do that, to help other people. It's like the easiest way ever to help other people. Just pay more in taxes, and then, like, you don't have to get as involved in people's personal lives. Because, like, yeah, when I had an abortion, Republicans were, like, really intense. Like, all of the Action Now or whatever people, so mean. Like, there's no, like, the fact that they, like, try to pair up, like, abortion survivors with women that regret their abortion and thinking, like, haha, what a great matchup. Like, you're fucked. Like, there's nothing about that that's going to be, like, empowering or, like, make anyone feel better. It's just going to be, like, remorse and guilt coming together, and, like, one person being like, yeah, I survived. God really had a plan for me, but not your baby. And, like, there's just no, like, that's Republicans for you. And I hate those bitches. I got the weirdest energy off of them during Trump's last term. I was just like, these women are really hateful and mean. They can't possibly understand living in poverty and, like, can I afford to have a kid when I am, like, I have negative money in my bank account and my next check isn't coming for a week? And, like, the answer for, like, rich Republicans is just, like, get another job. There's only 24 hours in the day, and you have to sleep, right? So if you have 2 jobs, you got no time, and you're like, you can run a schedule where you're just, like, working doubles or triples. You can do it for, like, you can do it for a couple months, but you have to go shopping, you have to shower, you have to eat, you have to talk to other people. Like, you're a human being, you're not a machine. And Republicans do not work hard at anything at all. Like, I saw this woman today, and I was like, oh God, I can tell this woman's a Republican. She's, like, new rich. She just married a guy, and they're living in Hawaii, and they're so rich. And I was like, God, this is the people that I've chosen to surround myself with. Blech, yuck. Why on earth would I do that? I want to help other people. If I had, just think about this. If 10 years ago I had chosen to not share ideas with others, keep all of my ideas to myself, right? Not socialize, not go out with anyone, our society would be fucked. Nobody would be talking about anything interesting. And you can say I'm whatever I'm for saying that, but I have been around, right? And I remember what people were talking about when I was a kid, and you're just listening to conversations. I remember what people were talking about when I was a teenager, when you're starting to get involved in conversations and you're pushing back and you're like, the things you say sound stupid. And then, oh, you're so disrespectful. Am I, though? You're dumb, and you're trying to fucking, like, scare me into thinking, like, oh, you're so smart and powerful, you know what you're doing. No, you fucking don't. Can you balance a checkbook? Do you know what the day of the week is? Can you tell me the fucking time without a clock? Can you do fucking anything without mom? And that's how it is for most men. So it's just, like, it's creeping me out so bad to just see people be, like, so enabling men to just not know how to do anything. And that's the Republican Party. It's just a woman comes along and, like, does everything for a guy, and then he just, like, slowly drains her life force and you move on. And, like, in Democrat, I've never seen, like, a healthy Republican relationship, if I'm being honest. The Democrat ones, where the guy would be more of a simp, you know, or a baiter or a cook, where he asks his wife what she wants, and he does it. He doesn't, like, fuck with her or, like, haha, oh, I know what you want, but I'm gonna do something else anyway, haha, just to show you that I'm the man. Like, that's not what a man would do. I don't know if you've ever been around men, but that's not what guys do. So it's just, like, a very odd time for me where I'm like, my life is like getting better than it was. Do I want to help other people, or am I just going to worry about myself? And I've never been that kind of a person. I've never really like got along with people like that who just worry about themselves. So I don't really know like how to deal with them. And now that that's like the, you know, the political party in charge, I'm concerned. I'm not worried necessarily, but I'm concerned because Republicans are incredibly vain. And liberals aren't. Liberals will color their hair. They won't wear makeup. They'll get tattoos. Something that a conservative would never even dream of doing because they're so like, I don't want anyone to think I'm gay. How did you get inside? Yeah, I don't know. I have some incredibly mixed feelings, but I definitely know that yeah, I'm definitely throwing caution to the wind, and I'm considering registering as a Democrat, especially in Tennessee, because Tennessee's just so fucking ass backwards. People here are so rude and so racist. I keep seeing like videos pop up about sundown towns, and I'm just like, oh my god, what have I gotten myself into? We don't have that shit in the West Coast, because we're liberals and we treat people like individuals. Ew, what a crazy concept. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, well. Yeah, I can't even, I don't think I've ever even been to a conservative party. Because if I had, it would have been so, even if I did, it would have been so desperately boring that I would have forgotten it or left early or offended someone, said something that like really bothered them. So, yeah, the only good thing that is that I think President Trump is not like the Republicans. He's a lot more like a Democrat. And I have to pray that he's going to be reasonable. Because he does seem very reasonable. The rest of his party gasses him up to do crazy things, and I really want to avoid that from happening. But I do think he's a great guy. I think he's the best choice, but I do also think that if with enough time, Kamala Harris also could be a good candidate. So I don't want I don't like one party feeling like they don't have what it takes and resorting to like cheap shots or stupid policies. So in my opinion, the Democrats need to kind of reassess what the platform is going to be and what our goals are moving forward, because we already have a general idea of what the Republicans will do. We don't, nothing for sure, but we know it's going to be a focus on domestic affairs, trade, who really knows what else. They'll hopefully we'll have some de-escalation happening. Yeah, I don't know. I think the only really good thing about this situation is President Trump. I don't know if I would trust Kamala to be able to keep her cool the same way that President Trump can. I guess time will tell. Because it's a really, really hard job. I don't know. It's crazy hard. And it's just like the thing with politicians. As soon as they get the job, most of the time they start campaigning, to keep the job. So very little of their time is actually spent on like serving their base. So I think that's a problem, especially for Democrats, because it can be so hard to like get a foothold in anything. And before the Republicans come along. And that's kind of my fault, because I've been so tenaciously against the Republican, or whatever. I've been anti-Democrat. And then it makes me, I've been having all these different memories play in my head. And I'm like, oh my God, the friends that actually helped me were Dems. And the friends that really hurt me were Republicans. The ones that lied and cheated and stealed and tried to make it out like, ooh, you're the weird one, you did this wrong and you did that, so you deserve whatever crazy thing I did. And that's like the Republicans in a nutshell. Like, oh yeah, you're poor, you're broke, yeah, you deserve it. Like, that's like the whole party in a nutshell. Like, if you weren't born rich, like, why are you even here? You don't even, shouldn't even be alive. And that's what's crazy, because like conservatives don't say shit like that anymore, but they used to say stuff like that on Facebook like 10 years ago. Like, if you're a poor person, you shouldn't even bother having kids. And I'm only speculating that those people are conservative or Republican, but I know that a liberal, like, I don't know that a liberal would say that, but I know that most liberals are people that have been poor in their lives. So we know that, like, having money or not having money doesn't mean that, like, life is not worth living. It makes it a little bit harder to enjoy certain things, but life is still awesome. And it doesn't mean that you'll be, like, poor forever, you know. I would rather, like, and this is what usually happens with people that are rich their whole lives. They start rich and they end up poor. You know, it's much better to start poor and end up rich, you know, or try to do something in between. But if you're at this like high benchmark, you know, if you're set at this high standard and you're an uptight freak, you're going to lie, cheat, and steal to make sure that you're, like, you know, upstaging your father or mother or whoever it is that's successful in your family, so that you feel like you're bringing something to the table, whether it's, you know, ethically poor or not. So yeah, I think, yeah, I'm having to reassess a lot of things, because I really think in my heart and in my mind that Republicans, they're freaky and weird. And Democrats are also freaky and weird, but in a totally different way. Like, Republicans are weird in a way that, like, ding 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 ding. And Democrats are weird in a way where they'll, like, dress as a furry. And you're like, both are weird, but one is, like, consenting, and the other is raping. So, what would you want? So, yeah, I think most people would rather, I don't know. I think most people would rather help people. I think most people are not super selfish. Especially in this election, there were way more moderate voters that weren't really sure what to do. You have Trump and Biden. And I know that all of the corporations jacked up their prices because they didn't want another Democrat presidency. So I saw the writing on the wall when that started happening. I was like, oh, okay, all these Republicans are like, going to raise the prices of everything and make everyone freak out. So logically, they're going to be like, well, it was a lot cheaper before they started hiking the prices. Let's go back to the other guy. Like, they're just blackmailing us and trying to control us. And again, ready-to-eat foods have, like, shot up in sales. So if you are one of those people, and I do this too, everyone does, but if you're buying, like, a lot of ready-to-eat foods and not making those same foods at home, you really, really need to look into how much it costs to make that food before you go out and buy it. Because most of the time, at least in the last couple of years, that's what I've noticed since the pandemic, it's like corporations are seeing that people are paying for, like, prepared food, and they're like, okay, let's get in on it. So I think it was a number of different things that led to people, you know, choosing Trump. But it just seems like they didn't play fair. So yeah, I would much rather be part of a party that, like, has some empathy for other people. I might not agree with everything that the Dems do. In fact, I think I disagree with most of the stuff that's been pushed for the last couple years. But to me, it also seems, you know, like a bit of a messaging issue, because the trans rights, you know, movement, I guess, that's happened. there's just more going on in our society than I think we have the vocabulary to describe. So we're getting to a point where we're like trying to understand ourselves and each other, and spare our children from difficult experiences in life. So I do get it, but it is, I think, a better messaging for the whole trans rights thing is to, like, you can't be transitioning kids. There should be like a program that exists if kids are gender questioning or non-conforming or whatever. You should offer those kids resources, you know, weekly group therapy, classes, have specialists come and speak to the whole class so that no one feels like singled out, and to talk about sex with kids, because it's such a weird issue, especially like, you know, in Appalachia or whatever. People are so like, they don't want to tell their kids about sex, but they also, like, if your kid doesn't know what sex is, then if they do it, they won't know, you know? So it's like so important that you have to just explain everything to kids, and explain gender and you know, all of these things that like kids learn in school, and then down here they're like, you went to college and you came back brainwashed. Like, well, no, you just went to college and you realize that your parents, like, I think for most Americans, they realize that their parents didn't give them the full picture, and that'll piss you off. My parents pretty much did give us the full picture. They tried to. I might not have liked it, but they tried to show me what the world was like. They didn't shield me from it. They told me how crazy it was, and how good it could be too. So it's just this, I think that it is way better to have a group that's open to new ideas rather than completely closed off like the Republicans are. And I think like those are the main differences that I see, just on its face, and kind of just riffing, trying to come up with like what even is what's the deal? Why are these parties so different? And are they really all that different? And I think the conclusion that I've come to is that they are indeed very different. They have different aims. They have different empathy levels. And one of them really enjoys gloating and like making the other one like, ha, you're so stupid for caring about others. Psych, what a loser. And that's so whack to me. We are too evolved of a people. This is like the best time ever to be alive. We have washing machines, we have refrigerators, we have clean water, we got like all of the great modern inventions so that you don't have to spend a bunch of your free time like cleaning and schlepping and doing shitty stuff. You can do like fun stuff with your free time. You can make art, you can dream, you can think. And then Republicans are just saying like, how can we make people hate each other more? And I don't really see that from the Dems. I see that the Dems want to do drag story time, which, you know what? I like drag. I like drag a lot. I like going to drag shows. I like drag queens. You don't want your kid to be fabulous? Okay, it's your fault. Yeah, it's just crazy to me, because I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of, you know, as far as like if someone being gay, like that's just a non-issue to me, and it always has been. And to me it seems like it's a huge issue to Republicans. It's all these guys pretending like, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not, look at me, I wear a suit. And then the you know, the Dems are just like, oh, I'm not a Republican. So that's basically the only parameters that you need to meet. So